Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final preview prediction episode. It's kind of hard to classify this because we're not previewing these teams anymore. We previewed every single team, every single division. That will be in the playlist I put at the end of this video if you want to go check them out. And now we just got to make some predictions on who we think are going to win some awards in the NFL. We're covering every award besides Comeback Player of the Year, which it's hard to judge sometimes because we truly don't know how players will come back. But we're going to talk about the Rookie of the Years for both offense, defense, Coach of the Year, Players of the Year, non-quarterback for offense, MVP, and then our Super Bowl picks and our Super Bowl winners. But before we can get all this, there were breaking news about someone visiting Seattle today. Are you ready for the Seattle Seahawks to sign Kadarius Toney?
No.
Don't even want to think about it for a second?
No.
Okay, well, let's get right into the Rookie of the Years. And I actually thought this was maybe the easiest portion because there were two lead favorites for me. I'm going to start with defensive, and I'm going to go Laiatu Latu. If you've heard me rave about him when we talked about the Colts, I love him. He was a very special pass rusher to me, very intelligent, gets better as the game goes along because I think he just learns. He picks up certain traits offense linemen do, and he figures out how to beat them. He's a very cerebral player. He's a very good athlete, but he's not like a specimen athlete like a Myles Garrett or something, but he has such a high football intelligence that I just feel very comfortable taking him.
Well, we'll do this really quick then. My defensive rookie of the year is Laiatu Latu as well. I was torn. I think playing opposite the way he's going to play their defensive line in Indianapolis, I honestly think that he's got a good year ahead of him. I was also going back and forth. You may think this is a homer, but Byron Murphy. Seattle's defensive line is pretty stacked right now, and it would allow him to make a difference. But that he was like an honorable mention. I really was thinking maybe Kenyon Mitchell.
Ooh, that's a very interesting pick. If you did go that direction, but you are going Latu, who is just different. It's hard to describe him as an edge because I can remember seeing someone with his athletic traits and just how he processes the game as an edge. It's almost quarterback-like, in my opinion. Now, to move on to Offense Rookie of the Year, this is chalk, so I'm going to give two. I'm going to give the odds-on favorite and the guy who's probably going to win it in Caleb Williams. There's not really a whole bunch I need to explain because Caleb has been this guy for so long. The media will heavily push it. And he's a very good football player. If the Bears are relevant this year, he's winning the award.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you real quick. Say Williams and Daniels both throw for 4,000 yards. Both have 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions each. Both get their teams to, I don't know, 8 and 9 records, right? Just missed the playoffs this year. But do you think that the Chicago media train or the Washington media train is going to get theirs over that top?
I would say Chicago because it's not just Chicago. California, USC mainly, will heavily push Caleb as well.
Fair enough.
And this is not me going after Jalen Daniels, but he wasn't even my second guy on this list. Because in my opinion, there's only one other guy I could see winning this award because he just takes over, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. He's my honorable mention, and I have Caleb as well.
It's very easy to predict these because we all know the media will go in their directions. It's very easy to find media narratives. And Marvin and Caleb are two of the most hyped up offensive prospects since probably Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, I'd say you're absolutely right there.
And neither of them have Urban Meyer, so that's a major plus for them. Coach of the Year. This one took a long time to figure out. I was going through a lot of teams because I know a lot of these coaches, they typically are brand new coaches or they are just rebuilding. So I was like, well, if the Cardinals pop, Jonathan Gannon, I think, is a likely candidate. Then I looked at new coaches, and I struggled because I don't think Washington can get there. I think Arizona has a better chance of being good than Washington. Mike Macdonald from Seattle made some sense to me, but I also just came back to this. Sometimes with what we see with especially sports-based awards is if you don't win it this year, they're going to give it to you next year if your team's just as good, if not better. And I feel like D'Amico Ryans had a very good case to win it this past season with the Texans, but Kevin Stefanski got it. I believe the Texans will be better than they were last year, and I think the media will be like, D'Amico, hey, you got this.
Fair enough. You can call mine a homer pick. But I'm going Andy Reid.
Really?
What he's done over the past 5 years, basically reinventing his team every year on how they win, I think it's masterful. I don't think he gets nearly as much credit as he should in the media. It's always, Kelsey or Mahomes or it was the defense. And, Andy Reid is just that guy that's sitting back there, and he just seems to be one step ahead of everybody else when they're coming to, when they're trying to reinvent their team. He seems like he's ahead of the curve. It was almost like Belichick was about 12 years ago. It seemed like every time a team had an answer for the Patriots, he would reinvent them. And I think Reid's on the same course.
That is fair. I just don't see him getting the Coach of the Year just because voter fatigue. It's like Andy's always there.
When was the last time he won Coach of the Year?
True, but also they're going to also look, hey, he's got Mahomes. Hey, he's got Kelsey. They won't ever give him the full credit he deserves. Which, completely another statement. Because we can point out how great Mahomes and Kelsey are. Who was the guy that worked with them every day to develop them?
Exactly. That's my guy.
Hey, if you want to pick the best coach, there's no problem with that. I don't see him winning it, which is how the award is given out. But if your argument is he's the best coach in the league, he should win Coach of the Year, absolutely.
Why is the MVP player picked? The most valuable person, right?
To ever get a good media story.
Maybe it should be the MVP Coach of the Year. And obviously he's the most valuable coach.
Yeah.
So.
Defensive Player of the Year. Homer pick. I'll get mine off the chest. TJ Watt. He is my guy. I will pick him. And you can always be like, hey, these guys are better. If that's your opinion, that's fine. I'm not going to debate you. There are so many talented defensive ends in just defensive players in general. In the NFL, you can pick a bunch, and there's no real argument against it, maybe besides, well, I like this guy more. TJ Watt's a great edge rusher. He's good against the run, and he's a big reason why the Steelers will win football games.
So I'm going to go with TJ Watt for the same reason. And I'm going to pick him, and here is my reason. Sorry about that. Dallas, Micah Parsons, changing defensive schemes. Early on, we don't know what that's going to look like. I'm assuming he'll still be super relevant, but learning a new scheme might be a disadvantage. Garrett, he's just as good as the other two, but once again, they've kind of shifted away. They lost a couple of players. We don't know how he's going to respond. So I'm going with Watt. That front line is pretty much the same. So he should be par for the course.
Yes. And again, there's nothing wrong with taking a Micah Parsons, a Nick Bosa, a Myles Garrett, and there are more names you could fill out the list with. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to pick the guy that I rely on the most, and frankly, I just watch more TJ Watt than I do the other guys, so I know him better. Now, Offense Player of the Year, this was banned quarterbacks. I banned quarterbacks from this list because it would be the same as MVP, to be completely honest. So, I want to ask yours first because mine's going to be different.
Okay. I'm going to give honorable mention to my second runner-up. My second runner, or my runner-up, excuse me, is CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys. He had almost 140 receptions last year, and I'm pretty sure he'll be darn close to that again this year. So I went with Bijan Robinson. I think that they're going to utilize him in the running game, the receiving game this year. He was woefully underused last year. You can't really load the box because they do have weapons on the outside. And Atlanta is going to be relevant this year.
Yes. Do you have any concerns about Algier maybe taking some reps away from him?
No.
Okay. Very fair. I am picking someone from the exact same draft class as you. He just happens to be a little bit north, and that's Dalton Kincaid from the Buffalo Bills. I have been seeing praises of him since before he even got drafted. He catches everything. He is the number one option now in Buffalo. He will be the Travis Kelce in that offense. They don't have a guy that you can reliably say, hey, he's the third down guy that you see on paper, but then you look at the tight end room, you see Dalton Kincaid. He's going to be the red zone threat. He's going to be the third down guy. He's going to be the guy over the middle of the field. He is going to be Josh Allen's F it. He's down there. He can catch it. He's going to have a big role in the Bills' offense, in my opinion. I think he's going to have a great season. And I kind of just want to give some shine to maybe one of my favorite position in the NFL in the tight end room.
Fair enough. I don't think the tight end's going to get it, but that's,
Hey, I got a shout out. And MVP, man, I wish I could be fun. I wish I could say a bunch of names. But at the end of the day, if you're asking me to pick the most valuable player in football, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. Now I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I did consider Mahomes, but I went with Josh Allen. I think that if the Bills are going to be relevant this year, and I truthfully think that they will, then he will have more on his shoulders than Mahomes or Lamar or Burrow or anybody else, because nobody thinks that their receiving core is worth a damn, unless, of course, Herbert's into the conversation, and I don't foresee that happening.
No, it's a very uniquely constructed team of where it feels like Allen is going to be the guy there that's going to take them as far. With Mahomes, if Mahomes maybe has an off game, which it's a big maybe, they have Pacheco. You can get the ball to Kelce. They do have Rashee Rice because he has not been suspended at all. They do have guys that can make play with the balls in their hand. We really don't know how many of those guys Buffalo has, especially in the receiving core.
Very true. Very true.
Now, time for Super Bowl pick. Now, I gotta ask, because I personally banned myself the Chiefs. Did you take the Chiefs just to ruin their dynasty?
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
You could have saved us, man.
I did not think of it that way. I did take the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say I picked them to win. I picked them to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl versus Philadelphia.
So can we explain why it's kind of terrifying for the Chiefs? The past two times you have picked the AFC, there have been some bad things happen. A couple years ago, it was the Indianapolis Colts with Matt Ryan. Ryan was a shell of himself, had some injury issues, and that team just wasn't that good. Last year, it was Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow had some injury issues, and the team just never really recovered. So, is that why you didn't pick Mahomes for MVP? Do you feel this curse is coming for him?
I didn't even think about it. It's not my fault if players can't stay healthy, right? Uh,
Explain that,
that
Kansas City fans, if that happens.
that being said, I did pick Philly to beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Uh, so I already said one of my picks. I didn't know if we were going to shoot this video. I picked the Rams to represent the NFC. I'm very high on their team this year. I think Stafford's going to have a great season. This might be his swan song. Sean McVay is an elite coach in the NFL. He's one of the top 5 in the entire league. And I really like their defense. I do have some questions, but I think they've done an overall good job of trying to get talent in there to replace the beast that was Donald. Their line is improved. The receiving room is really, really good. I really like the Rams this year. And my AFC team, I said I was betting on them. I'm going to stick to my guns here. Just give me the Buffalo Bills. And I do ban myself from picking the Chiefs, but I don't want to be held against this. If the Chiefs make it, the Bills don't. Hold me accountable. I just refuse to believe Josh Allen does not get to the Super Bowl soon in his career. He is too talented of a player. He makes too many good plays. And just this team is probably more suited for a deep run in the playoffs than they have been. They're more focused on the running game with James Cook, and you have Ray Davis in the backfield as well, another power back. You have Dalton Kincaid, a big body tight end, which is crucial in Buffalo in those Winters games. You also have Dawson Knox. And I know a lot of people are terrified of the loss of Stephon Diggs, but he just wasn't a big impact for them when they went on their long winning streak, and they won a lot of crucial games. I'm just leaning Bills right now. And
fair enough.
And I'm going to pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl over the Bills at the end of the day because Sean McVay has been there before than Sean McDermott. He has won a Super Bowl already. Stafford's been there, has won a Super Bowl already. I will go with what I know in the big game, and I will rely on those two.
What happened the last time those two teams faced each other?
It was the Bills beating the snot out of them.
Shellacking them open day 2 years ago.
Yep. And hey,
it's food for thought.
And that's a very fair point, and I won't complain because I can easily be happy with Matthew Stafford winning another ring. I'd be happy to see Bills fans finally celebrating a ring. It's a win-win for me in my books. But that's going to wrap us up. This is going up Wednesday right before the season starts. There'll be other videos coming up. I have a video coming up about the Steelers wide receiver room and how they've made some very, very gross missteps in the offseason at that. I have a college football podcast coming up, and I have a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast coming up on Friday talking about how I think they're going to do this year. Positions of concern, positions of strength, and overall, just what do I think this team is right now. But that's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to click on the playlist for the divisional previews, it's going to be right down here. Most recent upload will be on the other side, and that subscribe button's right there. Please hit it if you're new. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Football's back.